The fangirl. Fangirling over your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Rainbow's mom, not gonna lie.
Well, she's got it going on.
Yep. I want
Rainbow's mom is got it going on.
I love it.
I think Scootaloo just wanted to be adopted by them.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since she says that, she doesn't quite have that same support at home, which doesn't mean she's an orphan. She just doesn't have the same support structure as Rainbow Dash did. Which, an interesting thing we learned this episode, well, not for certain, but it seems to heavily imply that Dash is an only child. And she's the only child of the entire main six. Because we don't see any other signs of anybody. They would have done if she had a sister or a brother. They probably would have pulled a Maud Pie and had her slipped into a photo or something. But,
oh wow! I never thought about that.
That also explains why her parents are so doting. Because if you remember in the I forget what episode it was, but the one with the pair who were trying to be Wonderbolts, who went to the Wonderbolt Academy.
Yeah, Vapor Trail.
Top Bolt.
Yeah, one was an only child, so was doted on just like that, and the other one had like a billion siblings, so they didn't get all that attention.
Yeah, it also sheds a completely different kind of lens when you look at some of the older episodes like Sonic Rainbow. And she's getting Fluttershy to be her cheering section. And we don't see her parents anywhere. And she's tried to avoid her parents. So she's trying to get that perfect amount of cheering so that she gets the hit of attention she needs. But she doesn't get the attention her parents would give her if they knew. But yeah, I like, because if you go through, and it puts her in a unique perspective as well, because being the only child, because you look at each of them, Rarity, younger sister, Twilight, older brother, 2 siblings. The Earth Ponies, Applejack is the middle child. Pinkie, I think, is technically the middle child. I seem to remember she and Marble were twins, but Pinkie was born slightly before she was the first one born. So she's technically a middle child.
Yeah, she's like the second youngest.
Yeah. And so we end up with... so there's younger sibling, older sibling, and now an only child, which is interesting because, having been an only child, an eldest child, and the youngest child myself throughout different parts of my childhood, it's like the only ones I can't really identify or, understand, I don't know the experience of is the middle child, which is odd.
That one I do know.
Yeah, you get the middle child. I've been the eldest sibling.
Because I've been the eldest, and I've been a middle child because my brother is like 8 years older than me. So,
Yeah.
So, I at different points, like most of my childhood, I was the only child, so I really get where Rainbow Dash is coming from. But anyway, so getting back to the episode in parts. So Scoots is of the Acme School of Gaining Altitude. And I do like the fact that they will, maybe this isn't the best idea. Fwong. Well, too late now.
She was pretty good at it, though.
Well.
Yeah.
I think that's part of her cutie mark is stunts and falls well within the stunt realm. And then the moment we've all been waiting for. The penultimate set of parents that we have not seen yet. Bo Hothoof and Windy Whistles. Which, I'm curious as to exactly what they did. Some people have speculated that Bo Hothoof was a hoofball player at some point, given his kind of stature and his mark.
Yeah.
But there's no telling. And apparently Windy Whistle swims, so
Apparently.
I wonder if they were a family of athletes.
Maybe.
Probably.
That explain why they're so obsessive with it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to me like there's a difference between pushing your kid in sports and celebrating your kid in sports.
Yep.
And I don't think that they were the pushy type. I think Dash was self-motivated to start, and then the reward was them celebrating her for working hard and doing things. And so they don't seem to me like they ever pushed her, but that she pushed herself and they were just celebrating her, just rewarding her pushing herself. And apparently, Windy is also a gigantic Celestia fan, with commemorative plates and other merch.
When Skulu was screaming like a Justin Bieber fangirl.
Which will come back to Justin Bieber later. But,
Do we have to?
yes. Poor Vincent Tong. We'll come back to that later.
Poor guy.
Who?
It'll make sense when I talk about it later. So, Scoot says she knows a lot about Rainbow Dash's time in Ponyville, but not before, just like the audience. So, Scoots is acting like the audience surrogate for us. We're learning while she's learning. And
Yeah.
from what we can tell, it seems pretty obvious that the reason we haven't seen them is Rainbow Dash avoids them. Not because they're not loving, because they're a little too loving. And that's probably why she moved to Ponyville on her birthday. It's like, all right, I'm the age of majority. I can move out of the house. I'm going to go far away, and so I can, not have to see them more than I like to.
Yep.
We see the inside of the house and whatnot, and we see rainbows everywhere along the walls.
Rainbows everywhere.
And considering
I love that for.
Yeah, considering her father and her both share that kind of rainbow motif on their marks and on their manes, not all that surprising. Though Rainbow Dash has her father's kind of, mane, but she got her mother and everything else, basically. Because she looks like you just plopped a wig on Rainbow Dash for the most part.
She does.
Which is not surprising, given that she's her mother. Apparently, there's a Rainbow Dash's favorite sandwich is the pasta and potato sandwich on sourdough.
She likes the carbo load.
Of course, she's an athlete. The problem with it is, Skulu, take a picture of the sandwich. Do not shove the sandwich itself into
There's
the report.
flaw in that though, because at certain points throughout the thing, after she put the sandwich in, sometimes you saw the sandwich, sometimes you didn't. It was a magically disappearing sandwich.
It is the magic sandwich. All hail its magic majesty.
Gosh.
And she gets graded down for having it in the report anyway.
Yes, there was a moldy sandwich in your book.
B+. It's like, really, Scoots? You had to keep the sandwich in. But it's, take a picture. It's you got the camera right there. Just take it. It'll last longer. And I seem to remember seeing something about somebody trying to make that, and it was awful.
Really?
But then again, maybe there's a way you can make it that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, you just have to put in a book all day, let it get moldy, and it's all done.
Just throw bacon into it.
Kind of.
Kidding.
Oh, you mean kind of like Vegemite?
Yeah.
Good if it's
I've
moldy.
heard of Vegemite, I just never had it.
Neither have I.
But we've all heard it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Well, depending on who you ask.
Apple.
Some people are like, "Oh yeah, it's fine." People are just freak out way too much about it. No, it's awful. It seems like a very polarizing condiment.
Yeah.
And we find out that her house has a cloud ceiling.
Yeah,
Which is
I thought
Kind
that
of
was cool.
cool.
Yeah,
That was cool looking. Yeah.
I'm always interested with the architecture of the Pegasi, because all the walls are apparently compressed cloud, but the ceiling in this case is just some cumulus or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it ever rains.
Considering they control the weather, and they wouldn't be raining, it would never. That's an interesting thought. It would never rain in Cloudsdale.
Well, I just mean those clouds kind of gray for their ceiling.
Yeah, they're
Maybe it's just a paint job.
or they don't set them off. They basically build up the clouds. They add get the water into them, and compress them down to where they're nice and gray, and then they just don't set them off because they can control the weather, and so they could just set up the clouds but don't set them off, so they get the gray clouds but they don't get the rain.
Well, that is unless they got the clouds
Maybe
from
that's
Everfree.
Maybe that's just their sprinkler system. If something catches fire, that just rains on it.
Yeah, they just hit it and it drops the rain on it. Yeah, and it was just kind of a sudden revelation. It never rains in Cloudsdale. They control the weather, and there's absolutely no reason for it to rain in Cloudsdale.
Water!
When somebody catches
We've
it
been
fire.
up without water for years.
If they want water, they just go round up some clouds and punch them a bit, and boom. Or they wait till the water, them to pull up the water like they did in Hurricane Fluttershy and just use the water out of that. Apparently, Rainbow Dash also had a little bit of pseudo foreshadowing. I guess it would be an Easter egg now. That her inspirational poster is that of a tortoise.
Yeah.
He's not a turtle, he's a tortoise. Yeah, these are very obsessive. The Dashes keep everything.
Apparently.
I mean, the trophy room is quite spectacular, including sound effects.
I love that
Stole it
sound effects
myself.
It's one of those fun gags you don't see very often, but it is really funny when something that is supposed to be just kind of sound effects put into the episode is actually a part of the actual thing. And it's kind of always a nice little.
It's a fun comedic addition.
Yeah. And then we get the most shocking news until we realize just how extremely supportive the Dashes are, we get that she did not actually tell her parents about becoming a Wonderbolt. We learn why, but Scoots did not know. And the cheering of her parents literally causes turbulence for Dash.
Yep.
And that's using literally correctly. We'll get back to that in the 4th episode today. And they thought she was being... Apparently, when they heard that she hadn't told them about the Wonderbolts, they thought she was being modest. Dash
Yeah.
and modesty don't really go together. But then again, it's one of those things when you're smothered a little bit. Sometimes you get a little. You might be a little more braggadocious amongst friends or strangers, but around your parents, you kind of, you pull it back, and so they may not have seen her braggadocious side. Because that would just fuel the smothering just a little bit more. Let's see, I covered that. And Fleetfoot is a troll.
Yep.
Sir, you really raised a great flyer. Oh no. Tears welling up again. Dad! It's like, really? Fleetfoot? Why?
Yes, why?
Just because you could. We get the little back and forth here between Dash and Scootaloo. Yeah, really. And now you've invited a whole lot of crazy into my life. And Scootaloo's like, what's wrong with a little support? So we find out that Scootaloo isn't quite as, supportive. It isn't quite as well supported as Dash is. That changes by the end of the episode. That was kind of an interesting little extra bit.
Yeah.
So we get Scoots recapping Artie's road to being a Bolt, which is nice when the show's in syndication, so that even if you don't follow the whole thing of her road to being a Wonderbolt, this episode still makes sense because you get a nice little synopsis. It's like, here's 2 minutes. Here's Rainbow Dash's entire road to becoming a Wonderbolt in 2 minutes. Boom, there it is.
Bam!
Yep.
And her parents are very enthusiastic cheerers who somehow snuck a fireworks mortar into the show.
Yeah.
Where's the security for this freaking thing?
I don't know. And I think they were trying to take out the other Wonderbolts so Dash could be the only one.
Well, they'd really the only way she could move up in the ranks would be to be the captain.
Yeah,
so I suppose if you got rid of everybody else,
Step aside, Spitfire. I'm kidding.
If you got rid of everybody else, there'd be nobody left who was a Wonderbolt. Therefore, Dash would become the captain.
Yes.
She could recruit her own team of Wonderbolts and be the captain of that.
And then she would have to wait for her to be taken out by a crazed parent.
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah.
I think Fleetfoot might have understood what she was doing a little better, because she sounds like, from the way she was talking during the episode, I don't have the direct quote, but she sounds like she has excitable parents too. Not to the extent of Dash, but she was trying to console RD at the show. Like, it's they do that, don't they? Parents do that, don't they? And then they do the mortar, and it's like, the heck.
It's like, what? Okay then.
We get Vapor Trail and Sky Stinger making a cameo. It's
I
nice
saw
to see.
that.
It's nice to see that they are, in fact, still in the reserves, making their way through the reserves. We'll see where that ends up, if that ever ends up doing anything. And eventually Dash gets tired after a montage of a lot of support. Dash blows up at them, and they even compliment her on her blow up. What?
Yeah.
Then we get the flashback.
Yes, the flashback.
The
I swore one of those ponies in that flashback was a young lightning dust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a whole list. The Bolt family is very much in the late '80s, early '90s kind of fashion, with geometric shapes and bright colors. It was like that very much reminds me of fashion of the time, and like his jacket, it didn't quite look like a jacket. That style of jacket that Bo
You mean the
had
big clunky, bulky jacket with the shoulder pads?
Well, it was one of the geometric patterns reminded me very much of almost like a jacket my dad had at some point, and it was like, yeah, and the whole what Windy Whistles is wearing, that was a thing in the '90s, late
Yeah,
'80s,
apparently.
'90s. It was a thing. I still think bright colors should come back. But,
They are.
yeah.
Not so much. Actually, geometric shapes too. I work in retail. I see it.
Yeah, which it seems to
That's
happen with.
pretty common now, especially in dresses.
Yeah, that whole the changing of the political landscape shifts also kind of the fashion, and getting bright, bold colors now instead of kind of the demure grays we got under the last administration. It just not judging either, just saying sometimes administration changes can affect more than just the politics.
Yeah.
So we get the races, and ones we see there, we see on the top tier we have Derpy. Number 2, we get Lightning Dust and Soren. I'm not sure which. This is left to right. On the 3rd tier we get Spitfire and Cloud Chaser, and on the 4th tier we get Fleetfoot and Flitter. Thunderlane, the 2 bullies, and Dash just get participant stickers. So, and as it goes by, Derpy kind of slides down the thing, and they did explain it. They did explain away why, if Dash was beating Spitfire, why Spitfire was a Wonderbolt before Dash was, and that they were actually probably older because Dash was the youngest in her circuit. She really should have been in the kind of the circuit below them, but because she was, big fish in a small pond, she got bumped up to being the small fish in a big pond. But she took off from there and became quite good. Let's see. Though she still did beat them towards the end, but she may not have been mature-wise ready for it. In the end, Dash realizes she took for granted what Scoots didn't have: super supportive parents. And again, Scoots is not necessarily an orphan. Don't know that. She could just have not very supportive parents or a big family, and so it kind of, the love gets spread a little thinner. The attention gets spread a little thinner. Then she gets them to put on a Wonderbolt show just for them. Spitfire is probably just using it as an extra practice. It's like, oh yeah, we need to practice anyway, so we'll just, it'll satisfy them, and maybe they'll leave us alone for a while if we do that. Scoots gets a B for being too heavy on pictures and having a moldy sandwich.
Yeah.
But the Dash family is super, super supportive. Which makes Scoots very, very happy. The two, her parents, we haven't seen them before. I like sometimes to go with the voice actors here, the new voice actors, and let's see, we got Windy Whistles was done by Sarah Edmondson. She hasn't really done anything. She's experienced. She's played in a lot of other kids shows, but she's never been on MLP. And Bo Hothoof was done by Jason DeLine. Also, he's had a lot of experience, but he's new to the show. See, any new people? Andre Lidman did Fleetfoot, so Pinky / Fluttershy actress did get in there, but
I recognized it.
let's see. Did we? I wonder. Wait. Did we?
I
Really?
actually had to look that up because I'm like, wait, that's familiar. I recognize that.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? We haven't had a lot of actually after the first episodes. Have we had much in the way of Twilight this season?
Not really.
I mean,
well, the first.
After Celestial Advice.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
she,
see.
She was in that kind of filler B plot for All Bottled Up.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
there's one note I want to make on the episode. Scootaloo's tail wag was so cute.
yeah, there was some pretty epic fangirling going on.
It was just like
really-
so cute.
I
Like
was so
Scootaloo.
impressed.
It's like
I was-
Scootaloo. I didn't know you're part dog.
I was impressed by how our voice actress was able to do that screaming for so long.
Me too.
Like, that must have hurt your throat after a while.
Or they just looped it.
Okay, do another take.
Or they just got her to do it for a few seconds and then looped it.
Possibly.
That's how I would do it. Save my voice.
Yeah, probably how they did it. Good point.
But let's see. Today we'll see what was. Yeah, those are 4 episodes today. Don't think Twilight's in any of them.
I
Kind of interesting.
guess she finally went to the glue factory.
Oh, I remember that.
No,
Although
bad maid
I
rock.
saw the title Parental Glideance, I honestly thought it was going to be another babysitting the
Oh yeah, we had her do
California
that.
Sue.
Yeah, we just had the episode where Twilight takes care of Flurry Heart, but a flurry of emotions or something like that.
Yeah.
So she has had one episode other than she has been in one episode other than that, but I guess she got her whole episode. So anyway, overall, interesting episode, cool backstory.
Yeah.
Shines a very
There were
interesting light.
CMC episodes. There were 3 CMC episodes in a row, I think.
Damn, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So that was that episode.
All right.
Sweetie Belle, Scoots, and Apple Bloom each had their own episode, basically.